Maakheru Amen. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. It's time we come together to raise our consciousness. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. It's time we come together to raise our consciousness.
Hotep, Maat and Maakheru Amen here, and welcome to the Womb Evolution Podcast. The Womb Evolution Podcast features the womb evolution technique. It is a proprietary womb healing program designed to help you alleviate stress, heal feminine disorders, and improve your relationships, and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome. In these episodes, we show you how to restore the knowledge and functionality of the full feminine system, shifting your focus from womb or storage consciousness to uterine or universal awareness, which allows you to become unwounded and access your highest potential. And yes, so as you heard, we are doing a new series called WTF, Womb Trauma Femininity. All right. And so we are shifting from WTF to divine femininity. And so one of the things that came up from the last episode where we talked about the fibroids being a miracle. All right. And if you haven't heard what we said about that, definitely you want to go back and tune into that episode. This episode is a evolution of one of the previous episodes I had some years ago called Are You Your Natural Self? And so one of the things is in this movement towards divine femininity, towards the return of the cosmic mother and all of these things that we are hearing about, there seems to be a movement or push for us to become this divine feminine, like it's some mystical thing. Well, what I'm saying is that it's not something mystical. It's not something that we have to work real hard to do. It really is our natural self. Now, what do I mean by that? I know a lot of people will be like, nah. I know some people that are not divine feminine, not even close, right? Okay, hear me out. Here we go. So, one of the things that we discovered is that most of how we operate is artificial. It is our true nature. It's the body's true nature to heal itself. How do we know this? Almost everything you can think of on this planet. All right. Let's talk about plants. Let me not make a big bold statement like that. Let's talk about plants. Let's talk about fruits and vegetables. All right. So once they are taken from the tree or out of the earth, we see all these videos now, right, where you can cut off the bottom part of some celery, right, and put it in some water or put it in some dirt, and it will start regrowing another pot of celery, right, or another thing of celery. You can sprout beans. No matter, beans have been, a lot of time, these things, we don't know, these things are sitting around in these factories for years and years and years. And then you just put some water to them or some earth, and then they will start to sprout. You can take a piece of a plant that you have in your house, put it in some water, it's going to grow some roots, and then you have another plant, right? So what is that telling us? That everything in nature is seeking to regenerate itself, to provide new life. Our cells are the same way. If you don't know anything about Henrietta Lacks, There's a movie about it, or you can just Google it and you can read all about her cells that are still being used over and over again for scientific research. So everything about us is designed to regenerate itself. So, okay, so now let's go back to this divine femininity. So what is happening with us? That's why I say it's a miracle for us to operate in the way that we do. This is hard to maintain. This is why there's so much trauma. This is why it hurts so bad. Because with what comes natural, there's always that it's going back to its original source. It's going back to its origin. It's going back to being divine. That is our natural state. And as we hear Rev Shock talk about, this is our first frequency. Our first inclination is to be a direct descendant of the Most High in this physical form. We're in these physical bodies because we came here for a mission, for a purpose. We incarnated here direct from source. And so our natural inclination is to return to that state, or to bring that state into the physical form. And the physical body is set up to just do that. So divine femininity, the consciousness of divine femininity, is not something that we need to, it's not new. This is not new age stuff. As you start to remove the layers and unravel what is artificial about you, your consciousness, how you think. We talked about this in the last episode. That is hard to even maintain that. This is why it hurts so bad. And when you've been this way for such a long time, you feel that this is the natural existence, but it's not. The natural existence has a connection. It's not lost. It knows its purpose. It knows its source. It knows where it comes from. It knows its direction, its purpose, its mission, why it incarnated, and what it's here to do. It knows how to be a divine feminine. These are some instructions. These are some things that are missing now. We're not even being raised that way to even accept that this is a possibility. So we think it's some big thing, it's something very mystical, when all we really need to set our intentions on is to be natural. Now, that's harder than what we think, right? Because we've been artificial for so long, there's resistance to what's natural. And when there is resistance, you feel it. You feel it in your feelings. Your feelings are hurt. You feel it in your body. You got aches and pains in your body. When really what's happening is you are searching, you are looking, you are fighting to get back to your true nature, your true origin, which is divine. Now, in the next episode, we're going to talk about what divinity is, or what it really looks like, just from a perspective, because you know how I do. I generally don't like to say something is so, unless I can point it back to either something that happens in nature, something that happens in the cosmos, or something that's going on in the body. All right. And so I like to be able to make those connections so that it is something that we're not going back and forth and saying, oh, no, it's not like that. That's not right. Because this philosophy says this and that philosophy says that. Right. Not based on philosophy. Right. Based on what we see repeated over and over again. We see the same pattern. Right. Plants. They look they regrow plants, is whether it's a seed from a fruit, it's a seed from a tree, if it's a bean, you see what I'm saying? They all sprout. All cells do very similar things. I ain't gonna say they do the same thing, but it's very similar. The process repeats itself. To me, that's what's divine. That is what is from source. The source is always going to show up in the same places doing the same thing the same way. Now, it may expand, it might create some more stuff or whatever, but it's going to have this basic groundwork. And so when we can find that, then now we can talk about, these other things. Now, I'm going to talk about on this next podcast about some misconceptions about divinity and what it is and what it is not. And a lot of this will be a perspective, but I'm going to do my best to find those connections in nature, in the body, and in the cosmos so that we can correlate it to where we are. All right. So one of the things that I want you to really, really get from this podcast is to give yourself some grace. Let yourself off the hook. Okay. Really, you are not working to become divine. You already are that. What you are working towards is to unravel your artificial so you can be what you already are. So you can take off of these layers. The womb evolution technique, the masterclass series that we have, is designed to help you do just that. To remove the layers. It's not teaching you how to be divine. You already are that. Nobody can tell you that. They can't give you that. There's no class for that. It's just already who you are. But there are tools and techniques that you can use to pull off these layers that are sustainable, that open and shift your consciousness so that the artificial things can no longer overlay your natural and your true consciousness. This is what the womb evolution technique does. This is why I say, hey, this is not womb information, it's womb evolution. It's going to take you to the next level to expand and expand. Help you to heal those issues, those traumas, so that you can have better relationships, so you can live a better life. Just some basic stuff, right? I know my phone is going off, but we're going to let it go because I'm on a roll here, right? So definitely you want to check out the link here in the podcast and check out our womb evolution technique. You can go to wombevolution.com and click on the Get Wet page, and it will lead you to where you need to go to be a part of the master class. All right, so that's all I have for this episode. It definitely has been my honor and my pleasure. And you want to stay tuned for the next episode in the WTF series, the Womb Trauma Femininity Healing Podcast Series. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Hotep.
Maakheru Amen. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. It's time we come together to raise our consciousness. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. Maakheru Amen. The High Priestess, the mimic who pulled me in. Maakheru Amen. It's time we come together to raise our consciousness.